Good morning, Chair.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Morning, everybody. Top of the morning to you.
Everybody got their green on?
I
I
don't
see
have
you.
any green visible.
Oh, I see your jacket. Is it green? It looks green.
Alas,
Oh.
it is not.
Morning.
Good morning, Christian. Good morning, Ken.
Morning, Ken.
Good morning.
Okay, it is 10 o'clock, so we are going to get started here. I'm going to open the Yamaha County Board of Commissioners formal informal session for March 17th, 2022. It is 10 o'clock a.m. and happy St. Patrick's Day. Commissioner Sterrett, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Yes, thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. That brings us to our item C, which is calendaring session. Commissioners, anything to add to the joint calendar? I believe Carolina sent that over a little earlier yesterday, maybe.
Nothing.
Nothing to add?
Chair, I don't have anything that will come up. Mhm.
Okay. And Commissioner Kula, I saw some of the emails come through about the Friday meetings. So
Yes, yeah, we'll make sure we
Okay.
get that on the agenda for it'll be the 1st in April.
Okay.
It'll be the 1st of April, in fact.
Happy April Fool's Day, right?
I will be very careful with that day.
Okay, item D is public comment. I don't believe we received any public comment as of 10 o'clock today. And item E is department update, and we have our Public Works Director, Mark Lago, joining us. And he's going to talk about the Road Improvement Advisory Committee annual report.
Good morning. Do you see me yet? No, come on.
Good morning, almost. There you are.
Morning.
Good morning. Yeah,
morning.
I'm clicking it. It kind of went
Good
off
morning.
and you all came back. So
Thank you for joining us.
yes,
Right.
I don't have any green on because I have green blood in me. So true. So thank you for letting me come this morning. I'll give a little update here, and then we'll have a RIAC chair and vice chair give a little update on RIAC. So I don't know if most of you know, but the office manager here at Public Works is retiring at the end of April. Catherine Lindberg, I think she'll be here 8 to 10 years. So we're in the process of finding a replacement. We had first round interviews last Friday. Tomorrow we're having second round interviews. This will be the third person within the last 6 months to retire from Public Works. So moving on, we do have a new road vegetation management coordinator, Andrea Vallejo. She's been working here for 6 months now. She took over for Steve Kendall, who was doing that job. It was one of the retirees. Andrea was the roadside vegetation intern for the last 2 years. So she has a great knowledge with invasive and protected vegetation, and she knows the layout with the county. So it's a good fit. She's a very good hire, and we're very fortunate to have her on our staff. Geographical Information System, GIS. I look back, I think it was in January of 20 when I came to you the first time. We talked about possibly getting a GIS system with iPad capability for our mowers. Well, we now have that. Basically, it's a lot like Google Maps. As the mower's moving along, you have a little blue dot. And once they come up to an invasive area, they simply lift the flail mower up and get to the other side of it and lower it down. Not having to use maps or anything like that. We also have iPads mounted in our vegetation spray trucks to assist when we're doing our spraying. The goal is to have an iPad in every vehicle, but they're getting very hard to get a hold of because of chip production and iPads. So we're working on that. We're also in the process of locating every culvert in the county. That gives us actually exact location, type of material, length, size, and this is actually a layer within our GIS system for Public Works that we're using on our iPads. It's just the start of showing exactly what we can put down on our iPads to manage all of our assets we have. Just keep building layers and layers. It's a very powerful tool. I am working on a proposal right now with a traffic engineer to redesign a couple intersections up on Ball Peak. That would be Albertson and Ball Peak, making that a three-way stop. I had some brief talks with Washington County, because on the north side of that intersection, it's Washington County line. So they're very, they're fine with us working together to make that an improved intersection, as well as King Grade and Ball Peak, making a four-way stop. Of course, I'll be coming to you this spring with that proposal on those intersection changes. Also, I have submitted a request to ODOT to reduce the speed limit down to 45 on Albertson, Ball Peak, Bell Road, and North Valley. I have not heard anything back yet from ODOT. It's been 3.5 months now, but I have been told it can take 6 to 9 months to get something back from them. Hopefully not the 9 months. So Habitat Conservation Plan, or as we all know it as HCP. So I've been working the last 2.5 years with the Native Plant Society of Oregon, the RIAC Roadside Vegetation Management Subcommittee members, the Roadside Vegetation interns, Steve Kendall, and now Andrea Vallejo, to improve the Kincaid lupin habitat in the county. So this year we saw how successful all of that effort has been. We learned that the Defender's blue butterfly would be downgraded from endangered to threatened. So that's a really big deal for all of us here in the county. A lot of people put a lot of time into that. I believe it's been going on since 2014. So it's a great thing. Big pat on the back to the county for that. I'm going to share a little bit about training and some of these equipment rodeos that I'm providing out here. So every quarter, we have a simultaneously breakout sessions where we get everybody into small groups. We're actually doing one next week. And for example, the one we did in November. So again, these are all happening all at the same time, so we can be really conscious of our time and everybody doing something, not just standing around. So one session, for example, we had educating the crew more on the importance of filling out their daily work activity sheets. This was actually led by a person who's putting this data into IRIS. IRIS is our asset management program that we have for the county, and the importance of that. For example, I use it quite often when we need to do reports, especially for FEMA. I can pull up a certain road and know how long they've spent on the road, how much gravel they put in there. So we're really showing the importance by the person who inputs it, that the more information they can put on those sheets, the better. So it was a good thing for all of them. I think we're getting our blue sheets filled out a little more correctly and a little more detailed. Another session was basically tire chain insulation, basically getting ready for the winter. Again, this was in the fall. I mean, in the fall, preparing for our winter season. And we also had another session where we're trying to find things wrong when we're doing our commercial driver's license pre-trip inspection on our dump truck, for example. I asked the mechanic to actually have fun with this and come up with things that were wrong on the dump truck. For example, there was a windshield wiper missing, So they need it, and we've learned that we need to probably spend a little more time going through and looking at all those. Of course, the mechanic liked the little deviance that he could put in there, and really got the attention of the crew to actually spend more time where they need to. It was a fun exercise for all of them. And the best session was actually, we took a large excavator and we put it in the middle of the shop. And it was actually, we set up a skills test with props. So they could actually, do all these within a controlled environment within the shop. So I asked the mechanics to come together and make some props. And they had a lot of fun making the props. In fact, it came together with a good team building thing for them personally. For example, One of them was you have a basketball on a large cone. You actually need to scoop the basketball off the cone without dropping the cone, swing the boom over 10 feet, let's say, and drop it into a bucket. And we had some other interesting ones as well. I even participated into it, and it is not as easy as people think to operate that equipment, by no means. So it was a lot of fun for everybody, and everybody enjoyed the afternoon, and it was a great team building situation for all of us. A little update on Deer Creek Park Road Bridge. That's the one we have a $1.2 million grant for that bridge. Next week, we're going to have final plans. And then the following week, we're going to do something a little different than a project. We're actually going to start buying materials. We're procuring early. It's taking a long time to get materials for any construction. We're talking the piles, we're talking this pre-stressed concrete beams, that kind of thing, because we won't even be accepting bids yet until the end of May and hiring a contractor in May. But we want to get that lead time out there so we can have product out there so they can get the construction started the first part of July. And they're looking at finishing the project the end of October. That's very conservative. It could be sooner. Now, just because the bridge to get to the park won't be there, access will still be able to get to the park from a pedestrian bridge. It's a bridge, I think we had an old Sheridan, I was going to say old Sheridan Road. It's been in our yard over there on, I think it's something Creek Road. We have our stockpile, our little area where we have, I forgot the name, sorry, but anyway, we have it over there. We're actually going to mobilize that over to Deer Creek Park and utilize it there so people can access the park. That's a brief. I did come to you just a couple months ago about our capital improvement project, so I didn't feel the need to really touch on that. So is there any questions? Okay, I will turn it over to
Chair. I would just add that Director Lago talked about the traffic and speed changes up on Bald Peak Road, and that's directly in response to community residents. And Absolutely. This is like another example of how Public Works is responsive to people and their concerns. So kudos.
Yes, especially on Bell Road too. There was so many residents that came forward requesting that. So that was really wonderful to see such an immediate response to that. So thank you. Commissioner Sterrett?
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Director Lago. I appreciate the team building and that all of the innovation you're bringing to training and the fact that you are responsive. We did have a lot of folks, especially from the Bell Road area. One woman contacted me who had someone die in her arms, basically as a result of a traffic accident up there. So thank you for working on that speed reduction sign, and thank you for continuing the process to reduce the speed up there. We know it's a process, but appreciate that. And thank you for, the Habitat Conservation Plan report is very encouraging. Here years ago when that was a bit contentious, and also how much work goes into that every year. So that's really good news to see that the species has been downgraded. And again, I just want to thank your team for being out there when the weather is really nasty and being out there early and late and responding to a variety of different really serious needs. So thanks to everybody for that.
Thank you. I'll pass that along to the crew. Thank you. All right.
Yes, and I will add that everyone is very friendly and waves to residents that are driving by, and that's always lovely to see. Lots of smiles. So thank you.
Okay, I'll turn it over to the RIAC Chair and Vice Chair.
Sounds good.
All right.
I'm Gordon Cook, Chairman of the RIAC Committee, and this is Adam Sabinsky, Vice Chairman.
Welcome.
Yeah. First of all, I don't know if you have the copy of the annual report that we did. This is a presentation of that report, and I didn't know if you had a copy in your packets, but
I believe we do. Yes.
Pardon?
I believe we do, and we also have the meeting minutes from last month. So, thank you.
Okay, well, I won't go over every detail of this. Adam may have some high points to add, but wanted to give a little history of this. Back when the first time I was elected chair of the committee in 2008, I felt like we didn't have good communication with the commissioners at that time. Michael Wirt, who had been chair, suggested that she could draw up an annual report that I could then present to the commissioners and have a better dialogue. And so that's the seed of this report. And so since 2008, we've got an annual report every year, and that should be on our website as well, so that people can reference that and get some idea of what RIAC does. And it's a little bit overwhelming to read these to see how many things we actually did with 12 scheduled meetings. But there's a lot of subcommittee work, and the roadside vegetation committee that Michael Wirt heads. She does a fantastic job with that group. So there's a lot of input there. And Mark Lago and Catherine Lindbergh have been fantastic of guiding us and helping sharing information. And so I also want to express appreciation as a director of Yamhill Soil and Water. I really appreciate the work that Public Works and Soil and Water have been able to do together. It's my understanding that this is an unusual relationship in Oregon, and between the Roadside Vegetation Committee, Soil and Water, and Public Works working together, it's been a great experience, and I think it's a real positive for the county. Evan, you want to add?
Just a couple of other things to add, since Gordon touched on pretty much anything that were the highlights. We do work each year with George Fox. It's basically an engineering project for them to look at some road situation here in the county. And over the years, we've had opportunities to take their ideas and implement many of them in either total or in part. So it's been a great dynamic, and I'm really thrilled that that's something that Public Works does. Obviously, our vegetation subcommittee does an incredible both quantity and quality of work, and have for years. That's not a surprise or new to anybody. One of the things that I did want to touch on, this doesn't strictly fall into the past being a part of the annual report, but a lot of the work that's been done on organizing the information and the surveys of the roadsides, I expect will be helpful for us in the county coming into compliance with the Mercury TMDL, since erosion is identified as probably the major source of mercury here in Yamhill County. The last thing I'd like to extend thanks to is actually Sheriff Battle. He has been very interactive with our committee, has attended the meeting, and when not, has actually submitted a report with suggestions, because the feeling of our committee, since safety is our main thing, that who would know better than the Sheriff's Department what areas ought to be looked at. And Public Works has actually, and we discussed it at our meeting last week, already begun to implement a couple of those things that the Sheriff's Department had suggested. So we're very happy for that dynamic. I don't have anything else, although I do have a question for Commissioner Starrett, if that's acceptable. The question is, it looks like you have an Oscar on your desk, and I was just wondering what you won that for.
Well, actually, I was presented that by a coworker, and I'm not going to reveal what's on the plaque. But
You don't want to know.
But let's just say it was something it took me 8 years to achieve, And it is, as I told her this morning, if there's a fire, this is the first thing that's going out with me. So I'm keeping the plaque turned around because that will have to remain not part of the public record. Let's just say if you want to talk offline, I'll be able to show you a picture of it, but it brought great fun to our office this morning. And I want to thank her. I'm not going to name her in case she would like to remain anonymous. But thank you for that. I want to say thank you, gentlemen. You guys have been just, part. I remember when I was liaison to Public Works and I'd go to those meetings and just see sort of the brain trust around that table and the commitment and the level of knowledge, not only for that, but the Roadside Vegetation Committee. If you look at the folks, Michael Wirt, the folks who've been on that committee have done an enormous amount of work and they really know their stuff. So thank you for what you're doing and what you're doing. And I really appreciate that Shad Road is in your on your short list, because it's become really a challenge to get to work these days, and everyone wonders why I don't ever have a clean car. So thank you for that, and thank you for the work that you do as volunteers for our county. People don't know the level of commitment on these advisory committees, which is why I think we need more of a communication strategy to let people know just how much our citizens are contributing to our work. So thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you,
Any other
gentlemen.
questions? Go ahead.
Nope, just a comment. I've only been in this job for a little over a year, but the one thing I've learned about Public Works is how I was surprised at how complex the policies are that you deal with. It's not just roads. There's a whole slew of other complex policy issues that go into it. So very impressive work, and we thank you for your commitment.
Okay.
And Chair, my only other comment to add is that Gordon, the chair of the RIAC, noted the relationship, the wonderful relationship between soil, water, and public works. And I just want you all to know that it's partly and largely because of Gordon being very intentional about that, which he pulled me aside one day and said, I decided that it was important to have a connection between public works and soil and water. So I realize that there are many other strands of that, but a big one is his initiative. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay.
Okay.
Mark, did you have any further comments?
No, Chair, that's it. Just thank you for the opportunity to come talk to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Have a great one.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we are going to be moving forward to item F, which is our work session. We have none. Item G, consent agenda. We have nothing on the consent agenda. Item H is old business. We have no old business. Item I is other business. And item I1 is consideration of approval of agreement number 174040 between Yamhill County Health and Human Services and the Oregon Department of Human Services for Behavioral Support Services in an amount not to exceed $3,350,500 retroactive to February 1st, 2022 through January 31st, 2025. And commissioners, do I have a motion to approve item I1?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Sterrett. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Item I2, consideration of approval of change order number 1 to the agreement between Yamhill County and Convergent Technologies, Board Order 20-445, for the fire alarm system upgrade at the Yamhill County Jail, Sheriff's Office, Juvenile Detention, and Courthouse facilities in the amount of $24,742. Commissioners, do I have a motion to approve?
Chair, I would move that we approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Kula. Any further discussion? Other than this is a very critical part of our repairs here, so grateful to see this come forward. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, item I3 is consideration of submitting a letter of support for community home builders. And commissioners, it wasn't clear which one of you added this to the agenda, but if you did, take it away.
I believe that was a request from community home builders. I think that
Okay.
we've done this in the past. This is an annual
Okay.
thing. One thing I would say in support of it is that in the past, we've been able to go out to the sites where these projects are being done, and you see the buy-in from each and every person there who's getting to build their part of building their own home. This is a vital part of some affordable housing options we have. So I'm going to move approval.
Sounds great. Yes, and those are actually being built in my city here in Carlton. So wonderful to see that.
That was going to be my discussion. It's wonderful seeing them moving into other communities besides McMinnville.
Yes. Okay, so Commissioner Starrett has moved approval. Any further discussion? No. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. Item I4 is consideration of approval to amend the 2022 Sheriff's Office fee schedule. And I believe we have Sheriff Svensson joining us today. And just to kind of to tee this up, when Senate Bill 554 passed, there were various elements of the bill, but one of them was fee increases for CHL. So whether it's a new one or a renewal or even a transfer of a firearm. And so the board is instructed to approve fee increases. It's been a while since they've been implemented, but this is part of a larger discussion that we're going to have about, how we offset some of those, because not all of us agree that CHL fees should be increased. And the sheriff has made it clear that he is not in the business of making money off of CHLs. And so as part of the discussion that came out of Senate Bill 554 and out of our Second Amendment sanctuary discussions was, how can we work to offset some of this? What can we do as a county to provide benefit that might offset some of those increases? And we did discuss a rebate to new CHL holders. So it would have been separate from any sort of fee schedule, but essentially an instant rebate that the county would provide. That was quite complicated in how that would be able to be rolled out. And so the sheriff and I talked about the possibility of providing safety training for free. So obviously safety training is a big concern with CHL holders. And so we wanted to make sure that we had something that we could offer as an offset of value. And if you have taken safety training courses, you know how expensive they are. And the sheriff went back to his team and they are excited about doing that. And so I'm going to let him sort of talk about the details of that. But that's why this is being brought forward. Sheriff Svensson.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah.
Thank you.
So as the Commissioner stated, one of the conversations we had was how do we provide some additional training to CHL holders, not just on safety and ownership, but also like some of the legal updates where laws have changed, some of the things have changed when it comes to CHL and some other stuff. So I went back, talked with our sergeant of our firearms team. He was extremely excited about the concept. We had talked back and forth about the pros and cons, making sure that it's pretty clear that we're not giving any legal advice on the front end of it. And then we also talked about how some counties actually provide a full-on CHL course that citizens can attend prior to filing for their CHL. So what this is designed for is you've already gone through the CHL process, you've gone online, you've attended all the classes you're required to by statute, and you've applied for and you received, or you have received one previously from our office. Then this would be an opportunity for like an enhanced training for those who have already had their CHL for a while. It's more of a refresher, but it's about a 2-hour long course. We put together a PowerPoint that would cover a wide variety of everything from officer safety, or not officer safety, but citizen safety, the use of force, some of the statutes on when you can use force, when you can't. And when we review statutes, it's literally, we're reading them the law. We're not going to give them our interpretation of it. We're not going to give them how we're going to apply the law. It's just literally, here's the laws that you have to follow. And then there's some other tips and trades on carrying concealed, which is the importance of what a CHL is all about, is carrying the weapon concealed. And it's just overall, gun safety, things of that nature. But a lot of the time that we built into it is going to be questions and answering, so that it gives the citizens an opportunity to ask questions, and then we'll answer them. So how we plan on doing it is we're going to roll out, we'll do kind of a little mini press push where we'll advertise it on our social media, on our website, on our CHL website. When you do your renewal or you do your new CHL, there's going to be a section on there that talks about it. You have the ability to check the box that says that when you've completed your process, you wish to attend this course, and your name will be added to the list. We'll also have the ability, if people come into our office or call in and they say, hey, we'd like to be considered on this list, that the concept is we're going to start a list. And once we get about 40 people signed up for it, then we will set a time and a place, and then they'll come in, and it's free of charge. If we find out over like 2 months that we've only got like 10 or 15 people signed up and we're not getting as many people as we thought, we'll just go ahead and set up a time so that they're not just sitting there for months waiting for the class. We'll just go ahead and do a class with less people. But the hope is to do this at least 2 or 3 times a year, depending on the number of people. And then depending on the demand on how that works will kind of be what we do moving forward. So I just thought I'd give you an update on that part. The thought process would be, as where we're at right now, our CHLs continue to maintain. We're not seeing a decrease in any applications. Our renewals continue to come in on time. We're seeing a slight increase over time. Some months we'll have less new CHL applications, but we'll have more renewals. But the overall trend is we're seeing a slight increase over time of issuing out more CHLs than we had before. So we're still processing a ton of those each month. And so this will just be another opportunity for us to provide that service to those citizens who want it.
Thank you, Sheriff. So we touched on this a little bit, but just for clarity, is there anything that, privacy issues or anything like that would prevent us from reaching out to CHL holders that we know of in our county and letting them know directly about these training opportunities?
So we used to send out notification to all our CHL holders of renewals. We do a lot of that through email. There's always been a concern about the addresses of the CHL holders. There was a push a long time ago to make all those addresses public record. And so we pushed back as a state, saying that those are all private. And so a lot of sheriffs tend not to just do a blanket mailer out to all CHL holders, because we're trying not to use their address for that purpose. But we do have several ways to communicate this with a lot of our CHL holders who are existing, because you'd be surprised. We get phone calls on a regular basis from people who are still a year or two away from needing to renew, wanting to know what they need to do to renew. So every time we have a contact with a citizen about a CHL, there's going to be this opportunity for us to provide this information to them. So short of sending out an actual postcard or a flyer to every single CHL holder, we'll have multiple other avenues to advertise it to them.
Great, thank you. I thank your team for this. This is absolutely wonderful. In my experience, being a CHL holder has a much higher level and burden of responsibility for safety than, say, just having a gun in your home for protection. And CHL holders know that, you feel that when you are one. So I love the fact that we can offer this as a county as a benefit. A 2-hour training, easily $100 in terms of value, easily. So this is it's wonderful, and I'm glad that you were open and thankful that you were open to the discussion, because as we discussed, we don't always agree with what's coming out of Salem, especially with some of these fee increases. And so I'm just very grateful that you were open to that. Commissioners, any questions? Sorry, Commissioner Sterrett?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Sheriff. I appreciate your being willing to provide this. I think it's more important now than ever, since we do have more of an increase of folks applying, and having a CHL is just the beginning. It's safety is really important. So thank you for that. And thank you for continuing to respect the rights of gun owners. And we appreciate it.
And I would just add, Chair, if I may, thanks for being so flexible and creative with this, Sheriff.
Absolutely. Okay, so the first step really is to approve the fee schedule, and then the sheriff, you guys are kind of working out some of those details in terms of the training, but if you could provide, a schedule, or at least more of a documentation of what that's going to look like, that would be wonderful. I looked through the presentation. It looks great. So I look forward to attending the first training. So thank you.
Yeah,
Commissioners,
thank you.
Commissioners, do I have a motion to approve item I4?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Sterrett. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Great, motion passes. Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And Chair, I just have one quick small comment, which would be in relation to number 7 on your agenda.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
I know that Russ Heath is going to talk about it, but just kind of a real quick high level. As you know, there's a national shortage on supply when it comes to vehicles. And we had a lot of orders in with Dodge, and the entire state, the fleet order has been ripped out from underneath us. They've canceled all those orders. So what you're seeing here today, and I know Russ will explain a little bit more, because we put him on a search nationwide to find us anything and everything, because we have a need for some vehicles. That's why we had the order in. And so I believe he's located some, not around here. It's going to take us some effort to get him here, but that is the reason why you're seeing this come across at this particular point, because when we come across these, we're going to need to try to attack and jump on them as quick as possible, because we have no idea when they're going to start offering these back up to us. So
Right. Okay. And we're seeing that too. Cynthia Thompson talked about that, about transit with
Yeah.
buses as well. So great.
So
Thank you for the
that was
information.
it.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day. We'll see you.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to, let's see, item I5, which is consideration of a letter to Governor Kate Brown urging denial of clemency to Lindley Rayburn with regard to the 2005 murder of Dale Ross III. And this is a letter that I added to the agenda, Commissioners. There was just a brief kind of overview. There was a clemency petition or commutation petition submitted by a group of law students in Portland on behalf of Mrs. Rayburn, asking for the governor to grant her clemency. And so this has been going on, I believe, for, let's see, over a year at least. But the DA, our DA, District Attorney Brad Berry, weighed in last August and wrote the governor a letter, quite a lengthy letter, urging her to deny clemency. I'm not going to go into the details of that letter, but essentially he feels that the life sentence that she received with the possibility of parole after 25 years is fair, and that should be sustained. And so after this kind of came forward, the family started to become very active. And as you know, this murder happened in Yamhill County. Dale Ross' family and friends live here. And they started a campaign to, I call it a campaign, but an effort to weigh in and have folks weigh in to the governor directly and plea with her that she not grant clemency. And so that conversation came forward to me. A request was asked that we weigh in officially as well. And since the letter was added to the packet, I believe this morning, officially came through last night, but this morning, I'll go ahead and read it, and then we can open it up for discussion as well. But I did want to note that Dale Ross's family is watching and listening today. And so since they may have not had a chance to read the letter in the packet, I wanted to make sure that they know what's in it. And so this is a letter to Governor Kate Brown regarding the commutation petition of Lindley Rayburn. Dear Governor Brown, the murder of Dale Ross III shocked our community and changed the lives of his family and friends forever. On December 23rd, 2005, Dale Ross' daughter found his body outside of his home after he failed to arrive for a family Christmas party. Dale had been stripped naked, humiliated, robbed, abused, and shot in the head. An investigation later uncovered that Lindley Rayburn and A.J. Smith were responsible for his brutal murder, and Mrs. Rayburn played a critical role in this crime. Mrs. Rayburn was sentenced to life in prison with eligibility for parole after 25 years. We are aware of the clemency request you have received with regard to Mrs. Rayburn. This request has caused the family and friends of Dale Ross considerable pain and heartache. Not only are they reliving the worst day of their lives, but they are also forced to wonder each day whether the woman who murdered their loved one will be allowed to walk free. Yamhill County District Attorney Brad Berry wrote to you on August 2nd of 2021 regarding the clemency petition for Mrs. Rayburn. Mr. Berry is intimately aware of the facts of this case as he handled the process from investigation to sentencing. We support Mr. Berry's position that Lindley Rayburn be denied clemency, and we echo his concerns about Mrs. Rayburn's lack of accountability for her actions. On behalf of the family and friends of Dale Ross, some of whom are Yamhill County employees, we ask that you deny the commutation request for Lindley Rayburn. Mrs. Rayburn was given a sentence that was fair and appropriate given the violent nature of this crime. We support District Attorney Brad Berry's position on this issue, and most importantly, we stand with Dale Ross' family and friends who are waiting in anguish to see if justice prevails. Respectfully, and then the commissioners who will sign. So commissioners, I want to open this up for discussion and get your thoughts as well. Commissioner Sterrett.
Chair, I want to thank you for this. I also want to, a couple of things that come to mind. If you think about the specifics of this, this man was coming out on his porch at 1:30 in the morning to let his dog out down a long gravel driveway in Sheridan. One would have a reasonable expectation that in rural Yamhill County, one could go out and let their dog out in the middle of the night. When this happened and the violence and the nature of this prolonged attack on this man, it's heartbreaking to think that his daughter found him like this on Christmas Day. So when we have a culture coming out of Salem, and now we've got a group that are advocating for this, for clemency from Portland, we certainly don't want to mirror the climate there. So I would say that we should have some clemency for the victims and their families. And I would be in full support of this. And we need to stop coddling criminals, and we need to start coddling the victims and making this a very inhospitable place for violence. So I would be in support of this. And thank you for bringing it forward.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, and Chair, I would say that with the totality of this situation and listening to District Attorney Berry, though he doesn't like me calling him that, and the impact on our community, I think this is appropriate to come from the Board of Commissioners as one more voice for consideration.
Thank you, Commissioner Kula. Commissioners, I will move approval of item I5. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. All opposed, same sign. Great, thank you. Motion passes. And I just want to say for the family and friends of Dale Ross watching, our prayers are with you. We hope that this letter has an impact and that you can put some of this to rest, because obviously I can't imagine waiting in limbo to hear from the governor, and she can decide at any point before December, before her term is up. So I can't imagine the situation that you're in, and we hope that this helps bring it to a conclusion. So thank you. Commissioners, item I6 is consideration of approval of position authority to delete 1.0 FTE Office Specialist 2 and add 1.0 FTE Senior Office Specialist in the Planning Department. Do I have a motion to approve?
Chair, I would move that we approve.
Commissioner Kula moves approval. Is there any further discussion? No? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Motion passes. And item I7 is consideration of approval for Public Works to purchase 4 2021 Dodge Durango Interceptor utility vehicles in the amount of $156,020. And we just heard from the sheriff as to why this authority is being requested. Is there any further discussion on this item?
No, Chair, I would just add, I mean, I will add that when Russ in public works staff meeting said, I can't find any, and we lost our order, I was like, well, he's about to get creative. So it's good to see that everybody got creative.
Okay, commissioners, do I have a motion for approval?
I move that we approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Kula. Any further discussion? Okay, all of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Motion passes. Item J is public hearings. We have no public hearings today, and that brings us to item K, which is announcements. Commissioners, any announcements?
Chair, I would just add that, or I would, for my announcements, I'll keep it to one thing, which is that I attended the Reimagining AOC discussion. I wasn't able to stay for the whole thing because I had to do roundtable and then do Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments. But for the section that we were at, I think it was a robust and honest conversation about digging into, as you all know, kind of the tensions between the funding of AOC and the diversity of thought and opinion when you have every county in the state joining. And I think it was a good step forward to figuring that out, because that's really seems to be the ultimate tension. And I look forward to more conversations about it. This was just the first step, so I'll keep you posted.
Thank you, Commissioner. I just wanted to recap our visit out to Sheridan on Monday. That was wonderful to see that we had a naming ceremony for the Sheridan CTech School. It is the Barbara Roberts Career Technical School. And so former Governor Roberts was there and very gracious, and I'm super excited about the school. I noted that the room was full of people from all different political stripes. And if there's one thing that brings us together, it is the need for CTech training, VOTech training. So great to see everybody there. The students were there that were interested in the school. Some of the students from the one in Salem Kaiser CTech came and spoke about their experience, and it was just wonderful to hear. So very excited about the future of that school. Unfortunately, it seems that the construction costs have gone up by more than double, which is kind of a scary proposition, but hopefully we can be of assistance in helping them get that rolled out as quickly as possible. So thank you. Commissioner Sarah?
Thank you. I would just add to that, Superintendent Vickery is to be commended for her persistence, and she has continued to do something which in this day and age is very difficult, but we're seeing more and more the need to focus on the trades because we're desperately in need, especially in our county, diesel mechanics, and to focus on ag science and construction trades, those types of things, which the legislature took out of their focus in workforce development funding, which is regrettable. But it was really fun to see Senator Betsy Johnson there. She has been super engaged. And I have to say, even when she's dealing with constituent issues outside of her county that involve our constituents, she is right there in the mix. I'm very, very impressed by her. And also, Governor Roberts just wrote her third book. So she's definitely not let any moss grow under her feet. It was a wonderful gathering. The other thing I would mention is during legislative committee at Association of Oregon Counties, we talked a little bit about the session recap and some of the specifics about how it relates to counties. happy to see engagement there. And again, as you were mentioning, Commissioner Kula, the variety of opinions, when you look at what we call the cowboy counties and the metropolitan counties, there's such a wide gap there that sometimes we have to question and really have some honest conversations about the relevance of one organization that represents the whole state. But I'm hopeful we can figure out some way to do that, because the organization has had value in the past. I hope we can figure that out going forward, especially since we haven't paid our dues yet, and we have to have that discussion. But that's another topic on another agenda. Thank you, Chair.
True. I keep thinking about how Sushila Jaipal from Multnomah County and is it Mark no, who on the governance committee who are kind of tackling property tax reform issues together. You know, they're as far as you can get in the state and as far as you can get politically, but they're like, we need to work together on this. And the other issue that I see that really should have everybody is water issues. So you know, some of these things that we on our own really can't make any headway on, I think together we should make headway on.
Absolutely. Thank you. And just one quick reminder that the formal informal sessions will be resuming next week. It's finally here in room 32 in person. And so for the public that's watching, that means that public testimony will be open again to in-person testimony, but we will also have virtual testimony options as well. And Christian, Ken, any announcements for this week? Nope. Okay. All right. Well, I think, it's not even 11, so that was quick. But I'm going to formally close the Yamaha County Board of Commissioners formal informal session for March 17th. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend and happy St. Patrick's Day.